thank you for being here. If you can keep that mic in front of you at all times.
You bet.
Really help us out. Ms. Hunt.
If you could state your name and spell your last for the record.
Justin Seitzinger, Seitzinger.
Where are you currently employed?
I work for the Utah County Attorney's Office Bureau of Investigations.
What's your title? What's your current title at that office?
Special Agent.
How long has that been your title?
Recent, maybe a couple months.
What was your title before that?
Sergeant.
Do you have a particular role inside of that office?
I do. I conduct the forensic examinations of digital evidence.
And how long has that been your role in that office?
In that office, I guess, just over 8 years.
Did you have that role at another, in another agency or job before that?
Yes.
Where?
The City of Orem.
How long was that?
I was 3 years approximately, maybe 4 years.
Anything before that as a...
Not as a digital examiner. I was a regular police officer before that and a detective.
Okay, I want to go through your training and experience. We'll start with just your police officer training. Briefly describe that for us.
So I attended the academy like every officer does to become a certified officer in the state of Utah. I've went through all the necessary trainings I needed to do my job well and effectively. I've been through myriads of trainings from homicide school to forensic courses, multiple forensic courses, multiple certification courses to become certified in the tools and skills that I have.
How long were you, before we get into your forensic aspects of your job, how long were you just a police officer?
I was a patrolman. I've been a police officer for almost 20 years now. I began as a patrolman. Then I worked my way up to become an investigator. And then I went back from investigations to patrol as a corporal. And then I went from corporal to the Utah County Attorney's Office as a sergeant, and then eventually special agent.
All right, I want to talk about the forensic aspect of your current job and previous jobs. When did you, I guess, become, would you say that that's a specialty?
Yes.
When did that become your specialty?
It began when I was at Orem.
How many years ago was that again?
About 12.
All right, and what does that encompass?
So digital forensics, what we do is we conduct forensic examinations of cell phones, laptop computers, regular desktop computers, thumb drives, drones, anything that contains storage, digital storage.
You mentioned a few trainings, I think, that went toward forensics. How do you keep apprised of updates in technology and how to go about analyzing forensics appropriately?
We continually study. We're always going to school and classes. I've never stopped studying since I became a forensic examiner. We go to certification courses for the specific tools that we use. They're very thorough trainings. I'm a Cellebrite certified operator, a Cellebrite certified physical analyst. I've been through their CERT repair, which is repair of cell phones and digital evidence so that we can extract data if something's been damaged or placed in water or tried to be destroyed. I'm also a certified in chip-off forensics, which allows you to remove the physical memory chip from the phone and extract it directly. So I've been through the mobile examiner course through Homeland Security. I've been through their program. I've been through the Secret Services mobile forensics device examiner. I just completed that last year. I've been through the FBI Cyber Academy, which is extensive training on cyber, and many other trainings, about 58 or so total.
Do you keep updated on any requirements needed to keep your certifications current?
Every 2 years we have to retest on our certifications and prove that we still have the skills and ability to be an examiner.
You mentioned the word Cellebrite earlier, and I'm going to get back to that in a second, but first I want to talk about your role. You said you work at the Utah County Attorney's Office Investigation Bureau. Is that accurate?
Correct.
That's the same office as the prosecutor's Utah County Attorney's Office, at least, correct?
Yes.
What's the difference? Or I guess, is there a delineation between the two offices and their roles?
There are. The prosecutors have their own offices, and we're a small, I guess you would call us a police department. We're an investigations bureau, so we have investigators that have been seasoned in police work, and we've been selected to be able to work there. And so we do our investigations, and that could include public corruption. It could include police officers that have been involved in shootings to help assist the county attorney with the investigation on those types of things. And we do anything that is asked of us by the county attorney.
Does that mean that you come to any particular conclusions that, I guess, do prosecutors ask you to come to certain conclusions about your investigations?
They ask our opinion, but generally speaking, we just present facts. We present them with the information they need to have the ability to make decisions, and sometimes they'll ask us our opinions.
Are you aware if prosecutors in that office even have direct access to your part of the facility?
Most do not. Kind of our own locked down police department, if you will.
If evidence that you're seeing as part of your investigation, if a prosecutor doesn't, I guess, agree with it, or it doesn't seem to favor the prosecutor's case, do you change your opinion to match the prosecutors, or do you follow the evidence?
I follow the evidence.
All right, I want to get back to what you mentioned, Cellebrite. I believe you said that you were certified in that. Is that correct?
Yes.
What is Cellebrite?
Cellebrite is a forensic tool that can be either installed on a desktop computer, it can be installed, it also has its own self-contained hardware system that you can take into the field and do examinations in the field if you need to. What it does is it forensically extracts the data from a cell phone, tablet, or a drone, or anything that's mobile. And then it also has another software that decodes that information when it's obtained from the cell phone in raw data. It will decode that information so it's readable for us to be able to look at.
Is Cellebrite your preferred tool?
For mobile devices, yes it is.
Are there other such programs that do similar things?
Yes, I also like Meggan. It's also a great tool.
So you use others, not just Cellebrite?
Correct.
Are you certified in others?
I am.
Is Cellebrite a common tool used by law enforcement in investigations?
It's worldwide used by law enforcement professionals, also the private sector.
In your training experience with Cellebrite, is it reliable?
It is reliable.
If you're able to say, and you can give me a ballpark, approximately how many phones have you extracted in your career?
A lot. I honestly don't want to give you a specific number because I have never kept count of them. I did a lot of phones in my career.
Thousands?
Likely.
What is a forensic extraction?
It is to preserve the evidence in the most sound manner that it can be and extract that data so there's minimal, if any, alteration to the data. Cell phones are a little tricky because of their security systems. There has to be some manual input given to the operating system. It does not affect user data, but it will affect changes to the operating system. And I liken that change like, say you have a snowstorm. You have a homicide that occurs, and there's snow all the way up to it, to where the knife is located of let's say, the homicide. You have to walk in there, so you leave your footprints on the way, so you add some evidence of your own to that scene. But you have to do it because it's necessary to recover the knife and the evidence that was used in the homicide. And so I look at it, put it in context with that. It is necessary because of the great security that phones have for us to make some alterations to the operating system to be able to communicate with the phone and to be able to obtain the information.
So I guess what alterations, are you able to discern what alterations you yourself make, as an example, the footprint leading up to the weapon that you're collecting in this hypothetical? Are you able to see if this is the footprints of a forensic examiner, or this is something that was done on the phone beforehand?
Yes.
How is a forensic extraction different from just scrolling through somebody's phone?
Scrolling through a phone manually can make changes to the phone, and that's not something we want to do. We want to preserve it in the most pristine condition that it's in. We don't want to alter user data, and that would certainly alter user data.
Are there some limitations? I know that there are different types of cell phones, Apple, Android, et cetera. Are there limitations that certain phone, I don't know, what do you call it, software, hardware, presents you when you're doing a forensic extraction?
Yes, they're continually changing and they're continually challenging.
Is one phone type more challenging than another? I guess that varies.
Apple can be a little more painful sometimes.
And why is that?
They're always changing their software to lock us out. specifically lock us out of being able to do what we do.
Nevertheless, are you still able to extract information from Apple phones?
Yes.
How do you ensure that data is not altered during the extraction, other than, like your example, the observable footprints of the forensic examiner?
We make minimal adjustments. We'll place the phone in a Faraday box. That just means that it cuts off all communication to and from the cell phone, so alterations can't be inputted from an outside source. We place the cell phone in airplane mode, so it's not communicating beyond the date that we have been given the phone, so additional data isn't being added to the phone. Also so that it cannot be remotely wiped by an individual who's trying to destroy evidence. So there are things that we input, like say airplane mode. We'll often turn that on. We'll remove it from the network. We don't want it to the potential of it to be wiped remotely.
Do you know what case we're here on today?
What's that?
Do you know what case we're here on today?
Yes.
Fair to say this case involves Kacee Terry's phone to some extent,
Yes.
and Meggan Sundwall's phone.
Yes.
Do you recall when you were first, enlisted to assist on this case?
I believe it was August 15th, 2024, but it may have been a day before that. I think our chief had been starting to discuss it with us maybe the day before, but we got actively involved on August 15th.
Did you come into possession of Kacee's phone?
I did.
Do you know how you obtained that phone? I guess the legal mechanism.
Yes, our lead investigator on the case and Sergeant Hales, they provided it to me along with a search warrant for the cell phone.
Did you extract that phone?
I did.
Did you follow standard forensic procedures to do that?
Yes.
Were you able to verify the integrity of the extracted data?
Yes.
Did you also extract Meggan Sundwall's phone?
Yes.
Well, first, let me go back. What type of phone did Kacee Terry have, if you remember?
An iPhone 12.
Going back to Meggan's phone, what kind of phone was Meggan's?
I believe it was an iPhone 13 Pro Max, as my recall.
How did you obtain Meggan's phone to extract?
I did Meggan's phone on 2 occasions. Meggan provided consent for us to be able to do a limited search of her phone, and I believe that was 8/19 of 2024. And so I responded to her home and picked up the cell phone and brought it back to our lab, and then I extracted the data there. We were limited on our capabilities that time because iOS had just done a new update, and so we were only able to obtain a logical extraction, which is limited on scope of data.
What's a logical extraction?
It basically, it's how the phone interfaces with an API. So an application programming interface is what that is called. And so basically, it's given permission to obtain certain data, but it's only given permission, generally speaking, for native applications. So third-party applications, you wouldn't see that. You would be interacting with the applications installed by the phone's operating system, and that has granted API access.
You said that you did a second search on her phone. Do you recall when that was?
I do. It was, I believe it was 9/19 of 2024. I might need to verify. No, maybe it was 9/9. I might need to verify that. Can I refresh my report?
Do you have your report in
I
front
do.
of you? If that would help refresh your recollection, just read it to yourself and then look up when you're done.
Okay, so 9/9 of 2024.
And with that second extraction, were you able to get a more full picture?
I was able to get a full file system extraction.
I'm going to show you, it'll pop up on your screen, what's been marked for identification as States Exhibit 14. Sometimes it kind of glitches a few times before it warms up. I guess I don't need to tell you much about technology.
Okay,
You see that?
I do.
What is this?
That is a consent to search form. Basically, it gives us written authorization from the owner of the device to be able to extract information.
And who signed that form?
Meggan Sundwall.
State moves to admit Exhibit 14.
Mr. Williams,
No objection.
will receive states 14, wish to publish.
Yes, thank you. You mentioned that she gave limited consent. What was that limited to?
All communication that occurred between her and Kacee Terry.
Could that be across different apps
Yes, yes it could,
and certainly text messages?
yes.
Keeping in mind the limitations that you had there, did you perform the same forensic extraction process on her phone for that material?
Yes,
Was the integrity of that data also verified?
yes.
This might seem an obvious question, but when two people exchange a text message, are those messages stored independently on each phone?
Yes, they are.
And sorry, we can take that exhibit down, thank you. If one person deletes a message on their phone, does it delete it from the other person's phone with whom they're communicating?
No,
Was Megan's phone set to automatically delete messages?
it was not.
Over approximately what time period did Megan and Kacee exchange text messages?
So I believe they began in 2019 up until August of 2024.
If you can recall, approximately how many messages were exchanged between the two of them during that time?
28,000 is what I recall.
Did you compare the message threads between the two phones?
I did.
When you compared them, did you find anything of note to you?
I did. I found that Meggan Sundwall's phone had 1,618 less messages than Kacee's phone did.
Did you look into why that might be?
I did.
What did you discover?
They were deleted.
I'll get back to that in a second, but, well, you said 618 total.
Yes.
Did you, I guess, narrow a time frame that you looked at more directly?
Yes.
What time frame is that?
I believe it was in July of that year up until the current date.
Okay, and from July of 2024 up until August, I guess fair to say the last messages on Kacee's phone were August 12th.
Yes.
So from July of 2024 to August 12th of 2024, how many messages were deleted from Megan's phone?
So I don't know if I want to say it was around 200 and something, but I don't know the exact number.
Okay, but in the 200s?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you select that time frame?
I was asked to.
Who asked you to do that?
Sergeant Hales did.
Were those items, those messages missing from Megan's phone random?
No, I don't believe so.
Why, what makes you say that?
Well, they're text messages that talk about suicide. They talk about insulin. They talk about assisting in that process of suicide.
Any that talk about life insurance?
Yes.
Those were some of the ones that were deleted as well?
I'd have to look at it specifically. I can't recall if those life insurance ones were deleted because I think they were more of, yes, I believe they were. But let me double check that if I could.
If that would help refresh your recollection.
It would. Appears I've only brought the submission of request for life insurance. I haven't brought the text messages with me.
Okay, so you don't know, you don't recall off the top of your head right now?
I want to say they were deleted, but I would want to be sure.
Okay, so you're not quite sure on the life insurance, but other messages related to insulin and suicide were the categories?
Correct.
Were more routine, everyday conversations still present on Meggan's phone?
They were.
So the deletion was not a complete wiping of certain conversations?
No,
Did it appear selective to you?
it did.
Absent manual deletion, is there any technological reason those messages would not be on the device?
Not that I can think of.
Is there a way to recover deleted messages on iPhones, or I guess how did you, sorry, this is a confusing question. Were you able to recover those deleted messages from Meggan's phone solely?
Not solely. They were effectively removed from the phone, or at least our access to them. So when a cell phone is deleted, it will go into a temporary storage folder. Maybe you guys, if you have iPhones, you'll understand what I'm saying. It's when you delete it, it'll have a category that says recent deleted under your menu. If you delete it from there as well, it removes the primary encryption key, and our tools cannot access it once that's been done.
Excuse me, is that one of the, I guess, limitations of Apple phones?
Yes.
So to determine what messages were deleted on Meggan's, how did you do that?
Just manually, and you could see some that had been deleted, some we did recover partial of. Like on one conversation, it showed that she removed a heart on 8/17 from a message that was present on Kacee's phone still. You would see just remnants of things that had been deleted.
And I'll get to that heart message in a second, but it sounds like you had to compare it at least to Kacee's phone to see what was present on Kacee's versus what was no longer present on Meggan's.
That's correct.
In addition to text messages, can a forensic extraction recover internet search history?
It can.
When someone types a search into their phone's browser, does that create a record?
It does.
Is that information time-stamped?
Yes.
Are you able to determine the date and time a search was performed?
Yes.
Other than search history, if somebody is just kind of, surfing the internet, is that something that's recorded?
It does. It records the URLs that they're visiting, the sites that they're at.
Is that something that you're able to extract?
Yes.
Were you authorized by either warrant or permission to access the search or surfing history from both Kacee and Meggan's phone?
Yes.
And did you do that?
Yes.
I want to start with Kacee's search history, and we'll just go from August 11th and August 12th of 2024. Did you identify searches she performed those days?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 17. Let me know when you see that.
I can see it.
Do you recognize this?
I do.
What is this?
That's a search history from, this one's from Kacee's phone.
And if we scroll down all the way to the bottom, you see the time frames that we're looking at here?
I do.
And what are those?
8/11 to 8/12.
Is this a document that you created based on your extraction of Kacee's phone?
Appears to be, yes.
State moves to admit Exhibit 17.
Mr. Williams?
Foundation. Did I quote out the wings?
You may.
Special Agent Sightseer. You just got that title, right?
I did, yep. Sounds weird to me too.
I've been working with sergeants, so, nope. Let me just ask you this. Is this the entire search history of Kacee Terry during the dates on Exhibit 17?
It likely is, yes.
Everything that she did in the way of a search history?
From those sources, yes. It looks like that has TikTok, Chrome, yes.
No objection.
Thank you. Court will receive States 17. Wish to publish?
Yes, thank you. All right, there aren't too many of these, so I'll go through them with you. Up at the top, so we see different categories. There's timestamp. Source is the next one. Kind of briefly explain what that identifies for you.
Are you starting with the first one?
Yes.
Okay. So it just says it was Lululemon lunch, and it was search history, is what it's saying.
So the source, I see TikTok is, I don't personally have TikTok. Is that something that you can manually type in a search for things you're looking for?
Yes.
Okay. And then it looks like that happened on August 11th at 10 a.m. We see UTC-6. What does that mean?
So in our time zone, that's what we would reference. So UTC would be what the world generally starts from, right? So then we are 6 hours behind that timestamp.
So is 10 a.m., is that correct for Utah time?
That'll be our time zone, yes.
If we can scroll down to number 2, what is she looking for there?
Standing lunchbox,
And what time and date is that?
August 11th, 2024 at 10:18 a.m. 04 seconds.
If you scroll down to number 3, what is she looking for there?
Voodoo Donuts,
And what's the date and time?
8/11/2024 at 12:27 and 19 seconds.
Number 4, what is she looking for there?
She searched, is it okay to give yourself a shot with just saline in it?
And the time, sorry, say the date and the time on that one.
That is 8/11/2024 at 9:48 and 13 seconds.
The next couple, number 5 and 6, and I think once we get to the other page, they'll be similar. They all happen at similar times, 9:48.
Yes, approximately.
Is that fair? Number 5, what does she search there?
Is it okay to give yourself a shot with just saline in it?
What does she search for in number 6?
Is it okay to give yourself a shot with just saline in it?
If we go down to number 7, what does she search for there?
Is it okay to give yourself a shot with saline solution?
And what's the time that she searched for that?
9:49 and 40 seconds.
Fair to say she may have been, there's maybe a typo about saline, and then she ends up correcting it to saline.
Appears to me.
Number 8 and 9 are similar. What does she search for there?
Is it okay to give yourself a shot? Is it okay to give yourself a shot with saline solution? And then number 10 is Lehigh Smith Sours.
And what time does the number 10 occur?
1:26 and 8 seconds.
Of what day?
8/12/2024.
And according to your forensic extraction, is that the last searches that she did?
Correct.
All right, I want to go to Meggan's phone. And here I want to, what we looked at just barely in exhibit, sorry, what was it, 17? I think you made this distinction before that there's a difference between typing in a search in a web browser and then just kind of surfing the internet, right?
Yes, there's a difference.
How does surfing the internet appear, I guess without getting too technical for the jury, how does surfing the internet appear differently in an extraction versus like Googling something or searching for something in a browser?
So in a search, you'll see a value entered of what you searched. In just web browsing, you're going to see URLs. You're going to see where they're going to, what sites they're visiting, what they're looking at.
All right, did you do the same, did you look at both affirmative searches and then also internet surfing for Meggan's phone?
Yes.
And I want to focus a little bit broader here on Meggan's phone. Let's look through August 11th through the 13th. I'll show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 15. Let me know when you see that.
I can see it.
Do you recognize this?
I do.
What is this?
That is web history for, I believe this is Meggan's phone.
And when you say web history, is that surfing the internet or is that searches?
It will include some searches, but primarily surfing the internet.
Is this a document you created based on your forensic extraction?
Yes.
State moves to admit Exhibit 15.
Mr. Williams?
Oh, no objection.
Court received states 15, wish to publish?
Yes. And this has many pages. I won't take you through all of them, but I'll focus on a few. Let's start at the top. So these columns are a little bit different than what we just looked at with Kacee's phone. What do we see here generally?
So beginning from the left, you'll have the number, and then you'll have the title, caller, search, Google search. You'll have the URL that was navigated to. You'll have last visited time, and you'll have the source of what was used.
So for instance, here we see Chrome.
Yes.
And in number 1, what does it look like she's searching for?
It says and caller.
Okay. I'm going to take you through, like I said, there's many pages. We won't go through all of them with you, but the jury will have the ability to look through those.
Okay.
I want to take you down to number 63. First of all, I want to start with the date and time that this was looked at. Do you see number 63?
I do.
What's the date and time that this was looked at?
August 11th, 2024 at 6:22 and 10 seconds p.m.
And what is being looked at?
Allegiant cheap flights, airline tickets, vacay.
Go down to 64. Is that similar?
Yes.
All right, we'll go down to 74. What's the date and time of 74?
August 11th, 2024 at 7:19:08 seconds p.m.
And what is she looking for there?
All jewelry from Brian Anthony's.
I'll take you down to number 78. What's the date and time that she's looking at this?
August 11th, 2024 at 9:42 p.m. 44 seconds.
And what is she looking at?
Antigua Bay, Anna Marie, Florida, or FL, annamarie.com.
All right, I'll show you what's been marked for identification as States Exhibit 16. Let me know when you see that.
I can see it.
Do you recognize this?
I do.
What is this?
This is searched items. This is from Meggan Sundwall's phone.
So different from surfing the internet, these are things that she would have actually typed in to search?
Typed or used a vocal search, voice search.
Okay. Is this a document that you created based on your extraction?
Yes.
State moves to admit Exhibit 16.
Mr. Williams?
No objection.
Court received state 16, wish to publish?
Yes. And we'll start again, this is multiple pages, I won't go through all of them with you, but we'll start at the, I'm sorry, oh, there we go. We'll start at the top. Similar to the one we saw in Exhibit 15, what does number 1 indicate?
If the value is and caller, the date is August 11th, 2024 at 1:52 and 29 seconds p.m. The source is Chrome.
Let's scroll down a few pages. sorry, let me stop you at number 8. What is being searched here?
Domino's,
And what's the time and date of that?
August 12th, 2024, at 1:09:51 seconds p.m.
I'll scroll you down further. I'll stop you at number 13. What was Meggan searching then?
FreeStyle Lite, how low can it go?
And what's the date and time of that?
August 12th, 2024, at 4:23:23 seconds p.m.
Scroll down a few more. We'll stop at 13 and 14. Tell us what she's searching then.
FreeStyle Lite, how low can it go? On August 12th, 2024, at 4:23:23 seconds p.m.
And number 14, it looks like the same, even the same exact time. Why does that show up twice? If you know.
I would want to look, let me see here. Let's see if I can see real quick. I would need to look closer at it to give you a definitive answer.
Okay. We'll scroll down to, let's look at 15 and 16. So 15 seems similar.
Yes.
Style light, how low can it go? And here the time is slightly different, 8/12/2024, 4:23, and 39. We'll go down to 16. Or sorry, this is 15 paren 1. What does that mean?
It could be a duplicate. It can recover data from 2 different locations, and it can give you a duplicate. And it's just saying, hey, this is a duplicate.
Okay. I'll scroll you down further. Keep going. And then I'll stop on 19. What's the date and time of this search of Meggan's?
August 12th, 2024, at 4:25:48 seconds p.m.
And what is she searching for?
FreeStyle Lite, how low can it can read?
All right, and then I'll stop you there. We can take down the exhibit. The jury will be able to look through that in their deliberations. Are you aware of what FreeStyle Lite is?
I am.
What is that?
It is a glucose meter that checks your blood sugar levels.
All right, before you mentioned something about a message with a heart and how you determined when, in your opinion, in your professional opinion, things were deleted. I want to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 40. Do you recognize this? Sorry, Chelsea, if you could scroll down.
Yes.
And what is this?
This is text communication.
Is this part of something that you extracted from
Yes, it would have been.
State moves to admit Exhibit 40?
Yeah, can I have just a minute in connection with the subject we addressed before? No objection.
Court will receive States 40, wish to publish.
Yes. So here, what do we see in the green? I guess, is this the format that text messages come in when they're extracted from using Cellebrite?
No.
How do we get this formatting?
It mimics your phone. It gives you a conversation view like you would see on your phone. It's more pleasant to look at than the raw data and the columns or rows.
So the conversion into something that's more pleasant to look at, is that something that you do or that Cellebrite does?
Cellebrite does it, but I put the input into it, make it do it.
Okay. What do we see in the green bubble here?
A message from Kacee to Meggan Sundwall.
And it says, and fairness, we don't have the full context, right? We only have 2 messages here.
Yes.
But in part, she says, like I said, if anything happens, I wrote that sign in case they change nurses and I'm out of it. So if you don't hear from me, you will hear from someone. Maybe even Masteller, he has your number and knows that you're my person to call. What's the date on that message?
The date is 4/5 of 2024 at 12:58 and 38 seconds p.m.
What's the blue message we see below that?
That one is from Meggan.
And it says, loved, and then it starts to quote the message that I just read. Is that fair?
Yes.
What does that loved mean?
So when you click on a message that somebody sent you like and you want to add an emoji to it, pretty much that.
So in this format, it won't just show the heart or the thumbs up or whatever emoji. It actually makes it look like there's, it puts it there like it's an additional message.
It would attach a heart to it, yes, so data would be logged about it.
Okay. I want to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 41. We could scroll down a bit. Let me know when you see that.
I can see it.
Do you recognize this?
I do.
What is this?
That is when it was removed on Meggan's phone. The heart was removed from that message.
All right. So this is part of the extraction that you performed.
Yes.
Is that fair?
Yes.
State moves to admit Exhibit 41.
Mr. Williams?
No objection.
Court received states 41 and may be published.
So here we're seeing the same conversation that we just looked at in reverse, though. The first message is in blue instead of green. Does that help us determine what phone 41 is versus Exhibit 40? Does that question make sense?
Kind of, but no.
I guess, do you know what phone this is from?
Just from this view, no. I wouldn't want to answer that conclusively.
Okay, fair enough. So if we look up at the top here, we see Meggan Sundwall is listed as the owner, and then Kacee Girl is a number below that. Does that help you determine
That
what
helps
phone?
me much, yes. That's,
And whose phone is this?
it's identified as Meggan's phone.
So the blue bubble we're seeing is from Kacee. You see that at the top?
Yes.
And it's as fair to say, it's the same message we looked at in Exhibit 40.
Yes.
The green bubble below, what do we see here?
The heart was removed from that message.
And do you see, sorry, the original message, let's go back up to the blue bubble. What date was that on?
4/5 of 2024 at 12:58 and 38 seconds p.m.
And then if we go down to the green, it says removed a heart from I will, like I said, if anything happens. What date do we see in that bubble?
August 17th, 2024 at 2:03 and 18 seconds a.m.
What, if anything, does that date and time signify to you?
Modifications were made to messages on that date and time.
What do you mean by modifications?
A heart was removed.
Do you recall if this message in total was present on Meggan's phone?
The entire message?
Yes.
I don't believe I saw the entire message. That was on Kacee's phone. I saw the entire message.
So that would signify to you that I guess anything more than a heart was deleted? Are you able to tell whether the entire message was, if this was one of the messages that was deleted?
From this view, it's hard to say that.
But fair to say the phone was manipulated, the heart was at least removed on August 17th, 2024.
Yes.
I'm ready to pass the witness.